people often ask me, where can I go where it's safe? You know, what about the rising oceans? What about this and that?
So those practical things. Yes.
Well, you got to follow your heart. You got to follow your heart. You know, the tsunami swept right through Amachi's ashram, and they were all there. And she didn't bat an eyelash. She said, "Come, children, upstairs." She even took her elephants up to the second story. Come. Not a single injury, not a single death. Villages a few miles away, decimated. You are where God needs you. People all want to go where it's safe. The only safety is in here. Enter that divine romance. Get into that courtship with the beloved like you never ever have before. Because when and if and where certain things happen, and they can and they will and they do and they will continue to, you know, you may not always have access to a TV, a radio, a guru, a master, a psychic, a plumb bulb, a pendulum, or whatever, a tarot deck. The one voice you have is that one. The one connection you have is that one. And, you know, an individual, I have a dear friend who lives in Los Angeles, and, you know, when we were speaking about our moving the Mother Center to Maui next year, and he started asking me these same questions. So what about Los Angeles? You know, my life is here, my ministry's here, and I've got millions of dollars invested here. You know, should I stay? Should I go? And I said, I can't answer that for you. Theoretically, I could, but that wasn't the question he was asking. He wasn't asking what's highest and best for my soul. He was asking, where can I go to be safe? They're two completely different questions. So I told him, follow your heart. You know, if a massive earthquake is meant to hit a metropolis of 10 million people, don't you think God wants emissaries there to help? Do you think all the holy people will be in a healing retreat somewhere on a mountaintop and everyone perish? God puts us where God needs us. Who will cook for them? Who will clean for them? Who will quell the voice of fear as people go insane? Remember, many of you probably saw the movie Titanic. Remember the pandemonium that just kept rising and rising and rising? There were only a couple of people who stayed centered and calm. That's the place you want, not which end of the boat. Finding that place of inner peace and center and calm. That's what guides you through any storm. You can't avoid initiations, and you can't avoid being where God needs you to be, nor can you presume or mandate God's will for the world, for us, for our lives. But what you have total control over is attaining inner peace and attaining and developing a powerful, impermeable, dauntless connection to the divine and to your Creator. And then that takes care of the rest. And then within that continuum, again, I give you the principle first. Within that, I understand your question. I can already hear it. Yeah, but there are still specific things. Of course there are. And those will come. But you have to download the software first. If you have corrupt software, I could speak revelation to you till the cows come home, and they'll all fall on deaf ears, and none of them would get applied. Maybe one or two might get caught in the sieve of your mind. But human minds have corrupt software. They're like computers. So you have to remove the corrupt software, put the proper software in, and then you start typing, and it all starts working. And then you'll know where to go and where to be in every given moment.
Like the supercharged me thanks.
Well, you've been given it.
Good.
You've been given
That's
it.
excellent.
So does that make more sense? Yes, because there are specific things. There are more quakes that will happen, and there are, ice caps that will shift and melt, and the seas will rise, and a lot of things still need to happen. But it's also important to remember that each one of us has such tremendous, tremendous power, more than anyone could ever imagine. Every single human being wields the power of God. We're created by God, in God's image, as God. So everything you saw happen through my body can happen through anyone here. And to various degrees does and has. So there's no more divinity in me than in any one of you or anyone on the planet. That's a false perception that people have about masters and avatars and yogis and realized beings. It's just the knowingness of one's divinity that varies, not the divinity itself. The divinity is the same. We're all God. We're all from God, of God, made of God. We each wield an enormous amount of power. And to use that power that is in us, to whatever degree dormant or awake, and invest it in fear, is such a tremendous waste of power, and it actually empowers the fear to be made manifest. So in other words, applied. If you keep focusing on when and where the tsunami is going to happen and how much will the seas rise and all that, you're actually creating more of it. But if you're focusing on your own burgeoning divinity, your own self-purification, being a living role model for goodness and eco-living and holistic living, and holding the vision of mass awakening. Just keep envisioning in your mind people awakening like supernovas bursting everywhere all over the planet. Keep invoking more of these star children to come and more masters to incarnate, and keep seeing and feeling in your heart people becoming self-realized, God-realized. Focus on that, and that creates more of that. So what I mean by the power we wield, it's a seesaw effect. So the more people lean in and claim love and lean toward love and focus on all that is pure and goodness, the less Mother Earth and the elements have to do on our behalf. The less people do and the more they choose fear and non-love, the more the Earth has to do on our behalf. The outcome is the same. So while yes, there's a certain amount that does have to happen, what even of this very minute was or is meant to happen can still be mitigated by the choices we make. We have the power to reduce. There's a certain amount that still has to happen because there's a certain amount of karma that needs to be cleansed. There's a certain amount of initiations and rites of passage that have to happen. There's a dharma and a karma that has to be fulfilled. But we do have power to shift them tremendously. And that's very, very inspiring.